feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If you wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
People, there's another one coming at us from Queen City News. This one is about corruption. Marlboro County, South Carolina. It starts with the husband of a South Carolina judge had a DUI charge quickly dropped by Bennettsville Police. So let's check this one out and see what corruption lies beneath. Y'all make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe button. And make sure you go over to Queen City News and like, share, and subscribe and watch their video. So let's get this thing started. Cowboy.
Well, 1 year ago, Bennettsville City Police charged the Marlboro County probate judge's husband with drinking and driving. But within days, the officer who locked him up dismissed the charge. Why? The chief believed it was influence from members of the county judicial system, so he asked Sled to investigate. And now 1 year later, we know exactly what Sled did and didn't do. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Jody Barr with Under the Influence, a Queen City News investigation.
Jody Barr, I love this guy.
Can you see if you got a highway patrolman in the area? I'm on 1541 behind a white colored Tahoe. The excessive speed right now, he's riding in the grass.
Current highway patrol, everybody's in it, Darlington County. But if you would like them to come this way, they can.
Last February,
you could notify the city units. This Tahoe's coming in running probably 80 miles an hour on 15 now. We're passing the high school.
City units, you got a Tahoe coming into the city about 80 miles an hour all over the road. Got a county unit behind it.
A Marlboro County Sheriff's deputy tailed a white Tahoe 8 miles from a nightclub into the Bennettsville city limits.
People get a city unit to him. John, if it's too dangerous, go ahead and blue light. If it's going to feel like it might cause a wreck, go ahead and blue light it. We're running 70 right now. We're coming into 45. Go ahead and light him up. Get him stopped. I got a city unit in front of me now.
The radio traffic shows the deputy had reasons to stop him, but didn't. Not until Jermaine McCoy rolled into town. The dash camera shows Marlboro County Sheriff's Deputy Josh Hatcher was the first to confront McCoy, while 2 Bennettsville police officers stood by. As the men talked, the Bennettsville police supervisor decided someone needed to investigate whether McCoy was impaired.
Central 9, go ahead and notify. People got HP close.
209, I already gave them a 21, and they're nowhere near Marlboro County at this moment.
The deputy certified in DUI detection did not perform the field sobriety test, so the city called in its DUI officer, Jonathan Beggs, to test McCoy. 5 minutes later, the test ended, and Officer Beggs arrested him.
Good.
Beggs charged McCoy with driving under the influence, and the ride to jail also gave the officer additional evidence.
Yeah, man. I was home. The club had a couple drinks. Going straight to the house. Trying to eat my damn chicken wings. That's why I was swerving. Is that what it was? Yeah. Damn 10 chicken wings in the car.
Inside the jail, Beggs walked McCoy to the breathalyzer room, but McCoy refused to blow.
Now, you know that's going to automatically suspend your license, right?
I know.
Where again, McCoy admits to drinking.
I come from the Edison Club, so you know I've been drinking, man. That's entrapment.
Oh, I don't know where you came from, man.
Yeah, I was sitting right there.
Beggs was across town on another call when Deputy Josh Hatcher first encountered McCoy. Beggs' supervisor, Sergeant Dozier Rames, called Beggs to the scene. Beggs, certified in breathalyzer operation and a field sobriety test instructor, went to the scene and did what he was asked to do, all while the deputy stood by watching. But why didn't the deputy handle this from the start? We later learned he didn't have a body camera or dash camera, and Hatcher and every other deputy was under a directive from the sheriff to avoid working traffic cases.
We're only running 3, maybe 4 people at night. And if somebody gets tied up on a call for 2 or 3 hours, then I only got maybe 2 people, then working the entire county, and it puts us in a strain when we do that.
Although the Highway Patrol claimed no trooper was anywhere around that night, the dispatch recordings from officers on scene show that might not be true. 18 minutes into the stop.
I know you advised we didn't have a trooper in the county, but we just saw one pull off right here at the Sprint store ain't been 5 minutes ago.
Marlboro County Sheriff Larry McNeil says although his deputy could have stopped McCoy, the deputy did nothing wrong. From what you've learned about this stop, what you heard in that dispatch recording, do you still believe, sitting here today, that that was a lawful, appropriate stop that night?
Yeah. Based on what he said, what I heard, it was a lawful stop.
But Judge Reneka McCoy didn't think so. She's the elected Marlboro County probate judge and Jermaine McCoy's wife.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
When the sun rose the next morning, Judge Reneka McCoy was on the phone with Bennettsville's Assistant Police Chief, Greg Williams. You say you were concerned about those calls. What would be concerning about that?
You have to take into consideration there's some professional boundaries there that exist for a reason, which is exactly why I guess we're here today.
Bennettsville Police Chief Kevin Miller had no idea the probate judge called his second in charge the day of her husband's DUI arrest because his own men never told him. The chief also had no idea the probate judge spoke with his patrol lieutenant Sammy Crosland asking about the DUI stop. Again, because neither of his right-hand men told him anything about any of this. Not until we came to town 3 weeks after this DUI arrest, after a tipster asked us to investigate. How did you find out that this DUI arrest ever happened in the first place?
Ironically enough, as in the past, you've been the one to bring it to my attention.
What did you do once you found out?
Well, immediately, as I have in the past, I started digging fast.
Miller says he also later learned both Judge McCoy and her father, Judge Grover McLean, had both not only discussed the case with his officers, but with Sheriff Larry McNeil as well. Judge McLean is the lead city judge and a county magistrate judge.
I did receive a phone call, yes. Mm-hmm.
And was that from Judge Reneka McCoy?
Yes.
Did she ever ask you to intervene or to do something on her behalf?
No, she did not.
A day or so after the sheriff met with Judge McCoy inside the courthouse, her father, Judge Grover McLean, also questioned the sheriff about the stop.
We kind of ran into each other and saw the magistrate, and he said, look, I needed to talk to you about something. I said, okay. He said, I've got some concerns about one of your officers about speeding and writing tickets without a speed measuring device.
Within 4 days of McCoy's arrest, with two judges questioning law enforcement about the stop, Officer Jonathan Beggs dismissed the DUI charge, something the chief called highly unusual. The chief wanted to know whether those calls pressured his officer to drop the case. Or do you believe at this point you've been told the whole story and you know the whole story sitting here today?
No, but I think we'll find out eventually.
Is this supposed to happen in the police business?
No, but unfortunately it does sometimes.
Coming up, the chief asked the state's top law enforcement agency for help.
The reason I believe I am where I am today is because of, me always trying to do the right thing, even though it's not the popular thing. In this case, it's definitely not the popular thing.
And why is that?
When you look at all the potential people involved in this, even in your own department, it definitely can rattle some cages.
Did you find it odd that a member of the court here in Marlboro County was calling you about her husband's DUI charge?
Honestly, I looked at it, she was being a concerned wife.
And after a single interview.
So again, no one persuaded you or used their authority to persuade you to drop a ticket.
Sled decided to close its investigation. Do you believe that was thorough?
I will look at the case and tell you once I look at it.
That's going to come back to McCoy. Subject, he's clear, no suspensions.
Within hours of this traffic stop last February, Marlboro County probate judge Reneka McCoy was on the phone with Bennettsville Police Department brass. What do you know about that?
It's very unusual. It's not something that you see very often. However, that's the other part of this mystery, right, is why.
Chief Kevin Miller says because of the people involved, he could not investigate this himself. He called Sled for help to figure out whether those calls had anything to do with causing his officer to drop the prosecution of Jermaine McCoy. I appreciate you meeting with us.
Ain't no problem. I ain't got nothing to hide.
Lieutenant Sammy Crosland was the second officer Judge Reneka McCoy contacted after the judge first called his boss, Assistant Chief Greg Williams. Did you find it odd that a member of the court here in Marlboro County was calling you about her husband's DUI charge?
Honestly, I looked at it, she was being a concerned wife, but she never threw a title out to me. And if that would have been present, I really would have called on that. Like, you know, just because you probate don't mean that you can get this dismissed. And I told her, I said, well, I'll look into it. I said, I'll look into it to see if he was right in what he did and wrong what he did.
Crosland kept his promise. He found Officer Jonathan Beggs and questioned him about the stop not once, but at least 2 times.
I talked to Jonathan Beggs about it. He kind of felt some kind of way about it. And I was like, well, you got to do something about it because that's your case.
Crosland told Beggs the city had no business making the stop in the first place, arguing the deputy should have handled his own investigation.
How can you stand in court and tell the judge, yeah, y'all, we observed Mr. McCoy coming in Bennettsville, traveling at high rate of speed, and he was drunk. Beggs got called off from another location to the location after they stopped. So when you pulled up, what did you see? Nothing. But you want to get him out the car and feel sobriety. What about the other officers there? What about the deputy that saw it? Get him But we don't want it.
Yeah. Could that deputy have been called in as a witness to establish?
He could have. Not saying he was wrong in what he did what the supervisor told him to do. But sometimes you got to be smart.
Do you think that call from the judge, your conversation with this officer, put some pressure on him to make a decision he otherwise would not have made?
To be honest, Mr. Ball, I don't think so, because in his mind, he was already going to drop because he already told me when we talked about it.
Sled agreed to open an investigation into the chief's concerns of misconduct last April. We held off publishing this report then to give Sled time and space to work.
We're here to discuss a situation in regards to a DUI citation that you have dropped.
Officer Jonathan Beggs was the first person Sled interviewed. Beggs, a field training officer and a certified field sobriety test instructor, told Sled he made fatal errors in his testing of McCoy, and he forgot the most basic step of any arrest.
Once you placed him under arrest, did you read a Miranda or any type of administrative anything?
I did not.
All right. Are you supposed to?
You're supposed to, yes. Told him the breath test part. Forgot the Miranda right part.
So after you wrote that ticket that night, had you already made up your mind you were going to drop that?
Probably about 45 minutes after.
Okay.
I was like, that was horrible.
So Sammy didn't ask you to drop the ticket?
No.
Greg didn't ask you to drop the ticket?
No.
No one asked you to drop the ticket?
No.
We're here just to make sure that you weren't intimidated,
no.
And that you received nothing in favor for you to drop this ticket.
I would, whether I took it to court or dropped it, I was getting nothing either way. Like, I don't know her, I don't know her husband, and I don't care about Judge McQueen. Judge McQueen's a great guy.
Right.
But you couldn't do nothing for me that would benefit.
Right.
Like, I'm leaving.
Well, I think that's kind of one of those things is they want to make sure that no one made any promises to you to give you any favors. They want to make sure you didn't commit misconduct.
No.
Okay. Meaning as in taking any bribes or favors or...
No.
Somebody said they'd look out for you, they'd help you do whatever.
Like how? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to look out for me? Like how?
But the main thing is no matter what anyone may have offered you, you would not have accepted it because it'd be criminally wrong.
It would be criminally wrong, but again, no one offered me anything. Okay. So
just want to make sure I get that clarified.
Yeah.
Are y'all buying any of this BS?
This was your court.
Grover McQueen is the chief city judge and also a Marlboro County magistrate. He's also Judge Reneka McCoy's father and Jermaine McCoy's father-in-law. Crosland told us he never talked with Judge McQueen about the case. You liar! Were you aware at the time of who her father was?
McQueen? Yes, I worked with Judge McQueen for years because, I've been here with the city for 26 years. Yes, sir. I extensively know him. I know he's the magistrate of the county and he works part-time with us. Yes, but I knew that would have been a conflict of interest for him getting in it because that's his son-in-law. And I know he won't touch that. And I haven't talked to him anyway, personally, about that anyway. And I've seen him, spoke to him, but as far as having a conversation about the whole thing, nah. I know he's smarter than that. I know he can't touch that. I know he can't. He's smarter than that.
But Lieutenant Crosland told Sled he did talk to Judge McQueen.
If I was there, I think I would have handled it a different way. But like I told Judge McQueen, I just don't understand how we can testify something that we didn't see. And that was in the conversation. He didn't say too much about it because that was his son-in-law. He kind of like, wanted to get some answers himself. He said he was going to talk to the people at the sheriff's office, and I said that might be a good idea because at this point, I don't even know myself why we got involved. But after that was it.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop your fucking lying.
I had nothing to do with the ticket, nothing. And would not have to do it because it's my son-in-law.
When we interviewed Judge Grover McQueen, he never mentioned talking to Crosby.
I didn't have any contact with the officer at all about it. The officer Biggs, who was no longer there, I had no contact with him, no discussion. I have not discussed it with the police chief or anything about the ticket.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop your fucking lying.
But that changed the next business day after our interview. The Sled file shows the judge called a meeting with the chief, Assistant Chief Greg Williams, and Lieutenant Sammy Crosland, a meeting the chief walked out of. The chief told Sled the judge was intimidating and threatening. Instead of interviewing the judge, Sled Captain Glenn Wood called McQueen to counsel him. McQueen admitted the meeting got heated and told Sled he understood the perception of judges questioning the officers, and Sled wrote McQueen felt better about everything after talking with the Sled captain. Good morning, Judge McCoy. Hey, I'm Jody with Queen City News out of Charlotte. Judge McCoy would never schedule an interview with us to explain her side of this. The Sled file shows agents never interviewed her or pulled communication records to get to the bottom of what the police chief wanted investigated. I just want to ask you about the phone calls you made to the Bennettsville Police Department. Can you tell us what the purpose of those calls were?
Jody, what did my interview say on my emails? I'm at work.
Judge McCoy sent us an email 10 days before we found her at the courthouse, denying our request to interview her. She said she'd answer our questions in writing, but never did. The judge then sent this disposition form, showing days after her husband's DUI charge, the officer dropped it. Can you tell us the purpose of those calls? Was it to pressure those officers?
No, not at all.
To drop the tickets?
Not at all. Just for them to look into it or the wrong, the interview the stop was illegal,
But the Bennettsville Police Department, that DUI charge from your husband was dropped within days of your phone call.
Did you talk to the Bennettsville Police Department? Okay. Well, I'm going into work.
Do you see how this looks at this point?
How?
I mean, this ticket was dropped in record time, man.
Contact my attorney.
Okay, you can give him my number. Sled's investigation spanned 3 months, but a note in the case file shows just 1 week into the investigation, at the end of this first interview with Officer Beggs, Captain Glenn Wood decided Sled would close the investigation as unfounded. Beggs and Crosland were the only ones of the 10 people involved in this case to be interviewed. Sled never formally questioned either of the judges.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
Good morning, sir. Here you are again in a parking lot.
Yeah, I see that. That's what your favorite place to meet people, I believe.
Well, that's what I have to do when you guys won't respond to interview requests.
What's your dirty cop name?
I already told you.
Sled Chief Mark Hill ignored our request to interview him about his agent's handling of the case. Here's every communication I've tried to give to your office.
All right.
You'll see I've marked no response. There's another no response.
I'll be happy to look at them.
If a police chief is making an allegation that he believes that a probate judge making a phone call to his department led to...
I'm not going to answer any questions about this, okay? I'll be happy to find out, and I'll be happy to try and get you a response if the case is not still pending.
It's closed. We've got the records from you guys.
Well, if you've got the records in, I'll be happy to look into it, get back to you, and let you know something.
Will you schedule an interview with us?
I don't know whether I will or not.
What would keep you from doing it?
I think you know I don't do a lot of interviews.
Yeah, we don't ask you a lot either until we feel like it's absolutely necessary.
Well, again, I'll make that decision once I look at it and see what I think about it.
What's What's your dirty cop name?
I already told you.
We told the chief the questions we had about his agent's handling of the investigation, so he'd know what to look for in his review.
Your agent's investigation shows they never interviewed the judge. Only 2 people got interviewed and they closed the case. And the question we have is, when you review that, do you believe that was thorough?
I will look at the case and tell you once I look at it.
Even though Sled says it found no evidence of misconduct.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
Sheriff Larry McNeil believes something more fundamental was violated.
Sometimes it's incumbent upon family members to understand the roles that they have to play as well when certain people in certain positions.
That the appearance of something
can
mean a lot to the public.
It does. And even with good intentions, sometimes things can go crazy.
Sled Chief Mark Kill never agreed to that interview. His press office sent us a statement calling their agent's work a thorough, unbiased, and professional investigation, finding no evidence of misconduct. Kill never addressed our questions about only interviewing 2 of 10 people involved in this case. The Bennettsville Police Chief told me he's implementing a new policy where if an officer wants to drop a charge, they'll have to now go before a judge and do it in open court. The penalty for not doing this ranges from suspension to termination. The chief's goal to prevent this from ever happening again.
Well, there you have it, folks. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. And I appreciate y'all watching. And remember, always, always film the police.